Hey guys, so welcome back to Q&A with Dr. Dre on Friday, where I'm going to be going through you guys' questions and comments from the week and hopefully addressing them in a unified sit-down form here on the Friday. I hope your week has been going well. I've got my lime water. For those of you who are new, I love this on my lips instead of chapstick. It's wonderful. It's got ceramides. So with that, let's get started. First question, Nur McRae. She says, another great informative video. Oh, thank you. Is there any over-the-counter remedy for removing skin tags? The answer is no. Skin tags are a benign little skin growth that is not dangerous. Can oftentimes occur in the armpits, around the neck, and there is no treatment over the counter for them. And I would advise you not to try and remove them yourself, as that can lead to scarring and infection. A dermatologist can remove them for you. It's a fairly simple little snip procedure. But yeah, there's no over-the-counter treatment for skin tags. Sorry. Okay, so the next question comes from Katie Raven. She asked me about using facial oils to moisturize, like grapeseed or rosehip. Okay, so as far as using oils like this as a moisturizer, the way that they probably work is as an emollient, meaning they kind of trickle between the skin cells and kind of make everything smooth down the edges a little bit. Not like dimethicone that sort of seals the water in, and not like a humectant like hyaluronic acid, which holds on to water, but rather trickles between the skin cells and smooths out the edges. So yeah, oils can be helpful in making the skin feel softer. A lot of the botanical oils like rosehip and that sort of thing, they do have the potential to be irritating. Okay, and then the next question comes from Kate Clark. She asks, what do you think about the use of stem cells in skincare, particularly human stem cells? I know I've mentioned this in passing, so I guess it's a good idea that we're doing this in a sit-down format, because I've said this several times, but I think it gets missed if you don't watch every day. But yeah, there's really no data for stem cells being applied to the skin as being effective for anything. And I seriously question how they figured out how to get a cell into a cream so that it's functional. I mean, please comment below if you have a science background and have ever worked in a lab with stem cells. In watching my colleagues through the years who did this as graduate students and postdocs, it's incredibly laborious. So the fact that they're like whipping this into a cream and saying you can slap it on the face, so no, I don't think that that's worth it. I would not pay $200 for any cream. Unless you can eat it, I would not pay $200 for a cream. Question comes from B Villa. Hey B. She says, quick question on Manica for facial hair. Does it work well? It blocks an enzyme in the skin that's important, that plays a role in terminal hair growth on the face. It does make the hair less noticeable. There is some data to suggest that if you're getting laser hair removal, that using Manica along with the laser hair removal can help the laser hair removal be more effective. So there's that to know, but yeah, it does what it says it does. Patricion Allen, I hope I'm saying your name right. She asked a question about over-the-counter Differin gel in the pee. If you guys are starting Differin gel and you want to know how I started using it, go back to my January vlogs where I chronicle how I used it, and I show what we mean by a pea-sized amount and how I put it on my face. And she asked a very astute follow-up question, well, now that you're tolerating it well, are you putting more on? And the answer is no. You do not need, more is not better, okay? You only need a thin film you only need the pea to your face, and only that thin film. And a second question that she asked is, do you have to worry about it rubbing off on the pillow at night? And the answer is no. By applying a thin film, it dries on the skin, and within 5 minutes of application, it penetrates into the oil follicle and concentrates there, and there's no need to worry about it getting off on the pillow. All right, the next question comes from Kim. She asked me to touch on over-the-counter skincare for perioral dermatitis. And I would just underscore this point about that is to absolutely avoid applying over-the-counter hydrocortisone to your face. In some cases, this is thought to cause perioral dermatitis, and it certainly worsens it. So there's that. It's thought to be a variant of rosacea, actually. All right, the next question comes from Bernali07. She asks about what can I use under my eyes? My skin is somewhat oily all over, but under my eyes is always dry. I have tried high to low end items, but nothing helps. I wear makeup, concealer, and it always makes me look older. Concealer does not crease on me, but it adds 10 years when I wear concealer or powder. Don't wear concealer or powder, honestly. The less crap you put on your face, the better off you are. The skin around our eyes is quite thin and sensitive, so probably some of the stuff that you're applying on there may be drying it out, and it may be sensitive to it and getting too dry from that. So I would actually avoid all of these high-end, low-end cosmetic things, and I would just put a plain moisturizer to your entire face. There's no need for a special eye cream, and if anything, I find that a lot of these exotic eye creams or whatever have a ton of botanical ingredients and things that could potentially be irritating and allergenic to you. So I just actually say avoid all of that expensive high-end nonsense. It's probably irritating you. So all right, this question's from Robin Eklund, and she asks about she's asking about her zinc-based sunscreen, which zinc is a physical sunscreen, an inorganic sunscreen. It physically blocks ultraviolet radiation. Is waiting 5 minutes after applying a zinc-based sunscreen enough time before you can safely go outside and have protection? The answer is yes. Sunscreens that are organic sunscreens that are chemical sunscreens, things that contain like avobenzone, for example, those need to be applied 20 minutes before going outdoors, and the reason is to allow for an adequate film to form. However, zinc or titanium dioxide based sunscreens are inorganic sunscreens that physically block ultraviolet radiation, whereas chemical sunscreens absorb ultraviolet radiation, and zinc or titanium dioxide based sunscreens are effective pretty much immediately. But a lot of sunscreens are kind of a combination of both. And while the physical sunscreen component of your sunscreen will work immediately, the chemical part needs the film. So if you're using a sunscreen that has a combination of the ingredients, you're relying on the combination to get you to the SPF on the label. So just bear that in mind. Something to Say asks, I love that. That's such a cute name. Something to Say asks, can I continue using either alpha hydroxy acids or beta hydroxy acids while using Differin, not on top of each other, like switching every other day? Yep, that would work. You just don't want to combine salicylic acid and Differin. But I get a lot of questions about this. Really, the thing to focus about with using a topical retinoid is getting the topical retinoid on and using it and tolerating it correctly, and not muddying the waters with a whole bunch of other stuff. And make it as simple as possible. Salicylic acid, which is a beta hydroxy acid, should not be combined with the adapalene, because it potentially can render some of it inactive or ineffective and compromise its efficacy. However, it's perfectly fine to use salicylic acid the next day, the next morning, but bear in mind the more exfoliant type things that you're using, the more likely you are to get irritation. And some irritation may be a good thing, you know, it may mean that it's working, honestly, but you don't want too much irritation and peeling and dryness and aggravation, because that could lead to what's called post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is dark discoloration, which you don't want. Derek Wang asked me to comment on the efficacy of azelaic acid, which is in Finacea, for dark spots on the face. As far as dark spots on the face, there are a variety of things that can be helpful, but it's important to set reasonable expectations. Be very patient, because it depends on what level of the skin the discoloration is in. If the skin is discolored in the very top layer, there's a pretty good chance that it will improve with time as the skin naturally turns over. And if the discoloration is down deeper, say where an acne cyst was once upon a time, that may take many, many years to improve. But what is very, very important is whatever you're trying to approach the dark spots on your face, you absolutely have to wear very, very good sun protection, because sun will not only drive more discoloration in your skin and cause the skin to stay persistently darkened, but it also could potentially compromise the efficacy of some of the treatments. So I can't really overemphasize sunscreen. All right, guys, well, that's going to conclude the Q&A for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment below on your thoughts of the sit-down style video, and as far as for Friday's Q&A, and if you like the format versus the on-the-go vlogging sort of spontaneity. And I hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!